commo gear's in good shape. We'll pass on the location of the truck to the rebels.
Hello guys, my name is Patrick, and I was fortunate enough to have access to the Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands closed beta, and I also had access to the alpha about a month ago. And so I've been playing this game for a while, and I really just am not impressed by it. I'm going to be briefly going over why I think that, but to me this just really isn't my game. I played a lot of open world games, and this really just seems like a generic open world with not a ton of personality from what we've seen so far. And I'm concerned this video will be flagged because if as you can see from this image, the icon for this app I installed says confidential. So I don't know if it's confidential or not, but they didn't tell me it was confidential when I loaded up the app, so hopefully I'm allowed to show this stuff. If not, that's too bad, but it's not exactly like I'm attracting a ton of attention. But as you saw in the intro clip, there's a lot of bugs in this game, and I know it's a closed beta and they can fix a lot of them, that's true. But from the amount I've seen, there's just a lot of awkward animations and stuff that I don't know if they'll be able to completely fix everything by launch. I really hope this doesn't end like Division, where they launched it and there just wasn't a ton of content and it was basically just a buggy mess, and it really lost attention. Although there were some cool DLC packs later in its life cycle, it already sort of flopped off launch. I really hope that doesn't happen in this game, but I really get the Division feeling. Even when I was greeted with the character creation screen, it really just gave me Division vibes, and I was concerned that's what this game would end up being. This game does have a lot of unique things though. Some things I think are really cool and I haven't seen in an open world game before. For example, you can fly helicopters, which I think is really cool, and also when you aim down sights, the default is being in first person. And that sort of gives me Metal Gear Solid vibes, but the shooting feels a lot better than Metal Gear Solid. And although the frame rate I think runs at 30 FPS, which isn't super high, it still feels solid, and it doesn't feel, or at least on consoles it's 30 FPS. It feels solid enough to hold the world that it's contained in. So for the alpha and for this beta that I'm showing you, we only got access to, we got access to 2 worlds, but in the beta we only got access to one of them, and it's this sort of not quite a desert region, but sort of a mountainous, foresty region. And from what I explored in it, it was interesting, but there wasn't a ton of, again, Division-y vibes. Like, there might be some cool things every once in a while, but it just sort of feels like an empty world with not a ton of personality. So as I said earlier, some of the animations in this game are just a little bit weird, like this intro cutscene here where they're flying through a helicopter. Just there were some awkward dialogue moments and just weird mouth movements, and the scripting just wasn't that great. I mean, obviously we don't know the whole story yet at all, and so story isn't really something we can judge, but just some of the scripting is pretty cringy and I don't really know what to say about it.
How'd you get in country? I flew in business class from Manaus. Hey, I'm refreshed and ready for work, right? I just hitched rides from Barranco, Peru. How about you?
I got on board a bus in Jujuy, Argentina, and drank all the way to Villazón. Nobody wants to deal with a drunk on the bus.
That explains why you smell like ass.
Put the gun down and give me a pack of tropical fruit bubblicious.
And some Skittles.
The vehicle handling was a little bit awkward, but also fun at the same time. It felt very basic, nothing revolutionary here, but I felt like I kept going off the road and there's not really like a lot of drifting or anything, so I guess you can say it's more realistic, but it's not exactly realistic because your vehicle can bounce everywhere and still survive. But I found some cool areas while driving where there'd randomly be enemies and I could jump out of a car and do some like cool moves. I think you can also shoot out of the window while driving, but I didn't really figure out how to do that, but I've seen someone else do that. So I'm sorry if I'm ruining anyone's hype for this game, because I know a lot of people were excited about this, but I really just haven't enjoyed it. And again, it may just be me. I feel like the open world genre has been a bit oversaturated. I'm sort of getting tired. I either want a unique, fresh open world that's not just a bunch of trees, or I just want a game that I think a great example of this is, although it's not very similar, is Nintendo games, because they although they stray away from open worlds, they focus on their level designs and make sure the gameplay is fun before they make this giant open world, because the open world just seems sort of like padding for what could be good gameplay here. Like the stealth, like for some reason, just seems super similar to Watch Dogs 2. Like you can throw a drone up, and it feels like the stealth could be good, but like they're not focusing on it enough, and instead focusing on the open world element. And I think it'd be cooler if they just made each of these levels individually and handcrafted them. And it sort of reminds me of like the Hitman series, what they could do, where like it's not like a giant open world, but it's like each level where you're supposed to like do an assassination is specially crafted, and you could spend your time and resources there instead. And I think that would make for much more fun gameplay instead of what we have. The stealth could be explored more. Again, I haven't played more than like probably 6 hours with this game. Which is like enough to form an opinion, but not enough to judge completely whether the game's good or bad, just to have an opinion. And in my opinion, this game doesn't really live up to the standards I think it should. So again, sorry if I ruined anyone's hype for this game, but it doesn't feel fully fleshed out, and I'm not sure what it can do exactly to get my interest in it. I'm certainly not going to be getting this game. There's just a lot of things wrong with it, and it's just not something I'm interested in anymore. I think the Tom Clancy series needs to move over to more things like Rainbow Six Siege, multiplayer focused, or if you're going to do a single player, make it so either it's not open world, or if it's going to be open world, make it like specially crafted, because this just seems very empty. And I know again that a lot of more stuff's going to be out in the full game, but I really see this turning out to be like The Division and Watch Dogs 2, where there's just not a whole lot of stuff, and the open world sort of gets boring because it's just another open world, and it'll become forgettable. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got a lot of gameplay that I'm probably just going to delete of this game. And yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.